Hello and welcome back to my kitchen. Today I'm going to be showing you how I made the Cuban rolls for the Cuban sandwiches that I did in a previous video. The ingredients are really very simple. I'll be using 5 to 6 cups of bread flour, 3/4 cups of sugar, 2 packages of instant yeast, which is roughly 4.5 teaspoons of yeast if you use the bulk like I do. I have 2 teaspoons of salt, 3 eggs at room temperature, and 1 cup of warm water. And then for this recipe, I'll be using lard. If you don't have lard or you can't find it, Crisco works just as well. And I've gone ahead and melted that here. And then this egg is going to be for an egg wash later on. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to do that by bringing in the bowl from my stand mixer. I'll be using the bread attachment today for it. And by adding my water in, that's 1 cup of warm water, along with my yeast and just a couple of teaspoons of the sugar for right now. And I'm going to let those hang out here to this side for about, I don't know, about 5 minutes, or long enough for me to get my eggs cracked and whisked up. And I'm just going to do those right here into the measuring cup that I used earlier. Now that I have the eggs whisked up, I'm going to go ahead and add those in with the yeast and water, along with the remainder of the sugar. And then using a whisk, I want to whisk this continuously as I slowly pour in the melted lard. Now that I have all of the lard whisked in, I'm going to go ahead and add in my first 2 cups of flour. And then I like to stir this around as I add in the salt. After the first 2 cups of flour are mixed in, I'm going to go ahead and add in 3 more for a total of 5 cups of flour. When I made this the last time, I found it only took 5 1/4 cups of flour for me. I don't know. I like to start out with 5 and I will adjust it from there. It's really all going to depend on your weather and how much moisture is in your air and the kind of flour that you're using as to how much water or flour you're going to need. I'm sorry. How much flour you're going to need for your recipe. Alright, and now that I have the dough hook on, I'm going to go ahead and start mixing this. What I'm looking for is the dough to start coming away from the sides of the bowl, leaving the sides of the bowl pretty clean, and the dough should feel slightly tacky, but not stick to your fingers. At this point, the bread has come away from the sides of the bowl, but it's still a little tackier than what I wanted, and I can still see like some wet pockets on the top here. So I'm going to go ahead and add in another 1/4 cup of flour and let this mix a little bit longer. This is such an absolute beautiful dough to work with. It almost feels like satin when you touch it. It's really smooth. It's slightly tacky, but it doesn't stick to my hands, which is exactly what we want. And now it needs to rise. So to do that, I'm going to spray my bowl with some cooking spray and then just put this little baby right back in there. Give it a little spray on top to help prevent it from drying out. And then this gets covered with some saran wrap. Tell you, saran wrap never works when you want it to, does it? Alright guys, this is nice and covered. I'm going to be popping this over in my oven with just the oven light on and allow it to rise for about 60 to 90 minutes or until it's doubled in size. After rising for 90 minutes, the dough has doubled in size. I've gone ahead and removed it from the bowl, and now it's time to start shaping these into our rolls. I'm going to start by dividing this in half. Alright, I've got these all divided out into 8 roughly equal sizes. What I'm going to do is weigh them here on my scale, and I'm looking for roughly 5 to 7 ounces for each ball. This one is exactly 5.7, so that one is good to go. Let's go ahead and get the rest of these weighed out. All of the dough divided equally. I actually ended up with 9 rolls today. So you'll get roughly between 8 and 10 rolls. I want to go ahead and roll this up in a ball just so it's a little bit easier to start shaping into a log. And I'm looking for about 5 inches long for these. Once it's about 5 inches long, gently pat it down. And you're looking for about 2 1/4 inches wide here in the center. And once you've got that, go ahead and transfer it over to a parchment lined cookie sheet. And I will go ahead and continue shaping the remainder of the rolls out. Now that I have them all shaped out, they need to rise again for an additional 30 minutes. And I'll let them just sit here and hang out on my counter with a clean tea towel draped over the top of them. And yeah, I'll bring you guys back when it's time to get them ready to go into the oven. Now that my rolls have done their second rise, it's time to get them prepared for the oven. I've gone ahead and mixed up my egg wash, which is just 1 egg beaten with a little bit of water. I want to put a little slice down the top of my rolls, leaving about 1/2 inch of space from each end. Alright guys, there we go. That is the last of them all brushed with the egg wash. And then now these are going to go into a 350-degree oven where they'll bake for about 20 to 25 minutes. The rolls are out of the oven. They did bake for the full 25 minutes. They look beautiful. They smell amazing. And they are still screaming hot. But I am going to go ahead and try this one here. Actually, let me grab a knife real quick and be smart about this. Kind of cut into it. Whoa. There we go. You can see it's got a beautiful crumb on the inside. All that beautiful steam coming out. Ooh, it's so soft and pillowy. I tell you, there is nothing better than a fresh roll right out of the oven. These are absolutely delicious. Super soft. They almost melt in your mouth when you take a bite of them. They are slightly on the sweet side, but that's to be expected from all the sugar that I added. But yeah, these are an absolute beautiful recipe to work with. The dough was incredible, and it's well worth the final results, I think. But that is going to be it for me for the day. If you guys have enjoyed this video, leave me a comment down below. If you guys tried this recipe out, let me know how it turned out for you. There will be a link down in the description to the Cuban recipe I did in a previous video. But as always, thank you all so very much for joining me today. I've been Vault Girl. I hope you guys have enjoyed, and I hope I'll see you in the next one.